Every year, families from around the world, from North America to Australia to Africa to the other continents, tell their children that on Christmas Eve night, a big fat man in a red suit comes down their chimney and puts presents underneath their tree. And so, today I'm going to be talking about whether it's okay to feed the youth of this world this lie. And the biggest question of all, do I give a damn what you tell your own children? Spoiler alert, I do not. Before I begin this, I should mention that Santa Claus does exist. Believe me, this was earth-shattering news when I first discovered it. I mean, I needed therapy for weeks, but we have video evidence of him on the show, we have DNA evidence of him. There is no question. He's real. But let's just say that we didn't have all those things. Let's just say there was no proof that there was a Santa Claus. Should we tell our children that he exists? Well, to tell the truth, I don't really give a damn what you tell your children. If you want to tell them that Santa Claus isn't real or is real, that's your own business. You know, everyone has different philosophy about this, and everyone's entitled to their own opinions about how to raise their children, about how life works. But let's just take away the legal standpoint of this, and even the I don't give a damn standpoint of this. From a moralistic viewpoint, what's the right thing to do? Well, I mean, you know, it is important to note that there is always that doubt about whether Santa Claus doesn't exist. You know, there's always that 0.0000000000001% chance that somewhere out there in the cosmos, there's a little guy in a sleigh driven by 8 tiny reindeer flying around delivering presents to the children of the world. It would take a lot, I'll say that, first, at least in looking at things from a scientific viewpoint. It would mean that a lot of energy was being used, that a lot of physics that we don't understand yet was being used. But yeah, I mean, scientifically, it could happen, I guess. There is just a very tiny chance. And if the infinite universe theory is true, then even if there was a really entirely low number, then yeah, Santa Claus probably does exist, or in some way exists, because there's just so many universes that eventually something like that is going to come up. But as far as our universe is concerned, and as far as we know the laws of physics right now, it does seem pretty improbable. But, you know, I think it's important to tell your children that there is a little bit of a chance that Santa Claus is real. I mean, even if you really don't believe in it at all, you think it's completely ridiculous, I think it's okay to just tell your child, well, you know, I mean, there's a lot about science we don't understand yet, and maybe there's just a tiny chance that he is real and I am completely wrong. What's the harm in that? That's the way that I look about that. In all honesty, for me, the interesting question is not whether Santa Claus is real or not. That's always kind of a boring question to me, because we can look at it, we can find the facts about it, and it's pretty easy to establish what's the truth. For me, the more interesting question is whether or not it would be a better world if Santa Claus existed. And most of you who've watched this show will probably know what my answer is. My opinion on science has always been that science is a bit of a douchebag. Not entirely, but a bit of a douchebag. You know, if it weren't for science, right now, I could just fly off this couch and shoot laser beams out of my eyes, and I could do whatever I want. I have a lot of imagination. I could have a lot of fun with life if science wasn't always in the way telling me that I couldn't. You know, science is always there for me in the back of my mind, just saying, you can't do that, it's too unsanitary. You gotta put that right over there, otherwise you're gonna get in trouble. Oh, Seth, you can't run around naked. That isn't socially normal. That's scientifically blah, blah, blah. It's just, science is just annoying to me. I suppose I can never be like people like Neil deGrasse Tyson. For me, Neil deGrasse Tyson is just a wonder to see, because he loves science so much, you know. He thinks it's so wonderful and so beautiful. And to tell you the truth, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson kisses science's butt too much. I really do. He wants to tell science everything it wants to hear, that we living in this scientific world is the best possible world we can live in. If we could just understand science, we would be in a utopia. But to tell the truth, I don't agree with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Science isn't perfect, and I don't think our understanding everything that science has to give us is going to make us happy. I think it's an unrealistic expectation to put towards science. In The Princess and the Frog, they often talked about, in fact, one of the main moral of that story was that it's not what you want, it's what you need. And that's how I feel towards science, if that makes any sense. Neil deGrasse Tyson tells science everything it wants to hear. It tells it that it's perfect, that it's wonderful. I tell science what it needs to hear. I tell science that, yeah, maybe the world would be better if something like Santa Claus existed. Maybe we could have, what would be the harm in us having presents every Christmas year? And as long as Santa Claus couldn't be caught, it probably wouldn't cause that much harm. It might even do some good, people believing in joy instead of always rationale. Maybe the heart is more important sometimes than the mind. I feel like for me, I have a better understanding and a life with science because I respect it, rather than just worship it like Neil deGrasse Tyson does. I can admit that sometimes it's wrong. I can tell it what it needs to hear. And that is really my thoughts towards that subject. I know that doesn't seem like it has a lot of discussion about Santa Claus, but for me it's very important to understand that it would probably be a better world if Santa Claus was real. So, which world do you want your child to live in? It's your decision. In the end, I think the most important thing is to let the child make up their own mind. You can tell them whatever you want, but in the end, they've got to make their own decision. It's very important as a parent to be able to let your child do that. But, hey, that's just how I look at it, I don't really know anything. Look at me. I'm just a guy working for a secret organization, makes okay money, and just manages to make it in life. So, make up your own mind. Should Santa Claus be real? Hi everyone, before you ask, no, I am not Seth Lewis. I know I look and sound a lot like him, but as you can see, I have antlers on my head. I am actually a new character. My name is Deerman. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I come from a parallel dimension of deer people, one of the stranger things out there. But anyways, hi, I'm glad to be on the show. Merry Christmas.